Hey, this is Hans from Dakota Angler and Outfitter in Rapid City, South Dakota. And today we're going to tie an adult cranefly. I'd done in the past a cranefly larva pattern and mentioned that I was going to do an adult cranefly pattern one of these days, and I'm finally getting around to it. What we've got in the vise is a size 6 kind of curved shank hook like a Daiichi 1260. You could use another hook like a 2312 Tiemco, but I like this particular hook. It's got a nice wide gap on it. And what we're going to do, I started with some thread there up at the front of the hook, and then I'm going to tie in a piece of Antron yarn, some tan Antron yarn. I'm going to tie it in up here at the front of the hook and wrap it as I go back. Go back about that far, pretty close to the end of the bend there, then come back up to the front of the hook. Go ahead and trim out my little excess yarn that I have at the front there and wrap over the top of that. Then what I'll do is take that Antron, twist that up fairly tight, and then I'm just going to wrap once that's in a tight twist. Wrap that on the hook shank. Just make it some little segments. And I'll take and tie that off as I get here towards the front. And I'll trim off the excess. Then I'm going to take a piece of tan 2mm foam that I've got kind of in a long, slender shape with a little bit of a taper cut at the end. I'll let that overhang quite a ways off the back of the hook and tie that down right here at the front. That's going to stick up a little bit in the back, that's okay. And I'll trim off in the front, I don't need that much of a head. Next, I'll take a little bit of Flora fiber, white Flora fiber, kind of do an underwing. Some white fluoro. Tie that down. Then on top of that underwing, I'm going to do a deer hair wing. You could also do an elk hair wing here. Either one will work. This doesn't have to be the length of the body. I actually want it to be a little shorter than the body, so we're going to tie that in right on top of the fluoro. And keep that hair corralled up on the top of the hook. And I'll kind of trim that elk hair caddis style on the front end of the hook. It doesn't have to be trim flush. And then, once we've got that part done, we're going to take a couple, about 2 strands of pheasant tail fibers and tie those on either side of the body. You see a lot of patterns where these are knotted. You could do that, but for fishing flies, just a couple of long fibers hanging off the back end of the fly for the trailing cranefly legs will work. Do that on the other side now, and these are going to be pretty long. If you've seen an adult cranefly, you know that they have pretty long legs, so you can let those hang back quite a ways. And then to add just a little bit of movement, I do some rubber legs on this fly too. And those I actually do put one knotted segment in. So we'll tie that in, one of those on each side. Let that hang down. See, it's got a knotted segment here. Same thing with the other side. I got knot in that one, and we'll tie that down on the far side. These legs are going to be fairly long. That one's a little too long. I'm going to undo a little bit of that. Tie that in just a little shorter. Okay. And now, finish this off by just covering up that thread tying layer there with some grizzly hackle. Tie that in. I'm using 210 thread here. I think I could have got away with 140. It's a little fat, but we'll cover up that front end there with some grizzly hackle. Tie that off here at the front. If you can lift up and get to your eye, you can put a couple wraps in front there. That head to sit up a little bit so you can skate this fly a little bit. Failed half hitch there. There we go. Do one more half hitch there at the front. Maybe one more. So now we can trim off our thread. We'll zoom out a little bit so we can see the entire fly. What you got there is a beast of a fly. You can tie this in smaller sizes, different color schemes. But if you've seen a real adult crane fly, they're big and they make a big appearance on the water. This is a size 6 hook. In summertime we see a lot of these big cranes that either be on a size 6 down to a size 10 hook. And it looks like a fly that would spook a lot of fish, but it's surprising. Once those adult cranes make their appearance, if you start pitching these at a grassy bank or even in riffly water, cast them a little bit slightly downstream and across and skitter them across a riffle, the results can be kind of dramatic. The fish will hammer these flies. First day I've got inspired to actually tie and fish one of these, I was watching two very large rainbows in our tailwater chase down an adult crane fly. They were boxing each other out like basketball players, trying to get to this this adult crane fly first. So I tied this fly, and the next day on an outing with a client, we hooked up on 3 or 4 nice fish just using this big crane fly. So there you have it. There's my crazy adult crane fly pattern, but fish this in the summertime when the big cranes start to emerge, and you'll be surprised at the quality of fish that you can pull out of a bank or out of a deep riffle with. And so again, I'm Hans from Dakota Angler and Outfitter in Rapid City, South Dakota. Check this video out and other videos out on our YouTube channel or on our fly shop's website, flyfishsd.com. You can also buy the materials to tie this fly and all the other flies on our website, flyfishsd.com. Thanks for watching. Here's a view of the underside of that fly. You can see the pheasant tail legs and the rubber legs, and then the segmented body underneath. It seems to be a good representation of kind of that big long skinny abdomen sticking out, as well as the big long legs hanging alongside the hook.